I drove into town today, I'm sure, so I brought my meter with me just to check. After I started everything, see if the battery was up.
Good morning. I want to welcome all of you here today. Glad to see you came in spite of the weather. We've got a little bit of rain out there off and on and cool, but thanks for coming. I'm J.C. Sanders. I'm the chairman of the Arizona Peace Trail, Inc. I'm also the vice president of the Bouse Ghost Riders OHV Club, past president. Been involved in this for some time. My cohort here is Bruce Fuller. He's the president of the Quartzsite Arizona Sun Riders, and has been for some time. We've both ridden the trail, the entire Peace Trail, numerous times. I think he's got about 6 times. I've got about 4 or 5 times. Plus, I've ridden a lot of segments a lot of times. So, what we're going to do is give you a little bit of introduction into the trail, and then get into a day-by-day ride, Bruce's last ride of the trail. This presentation was actually put together by Mark Goldberg, who's heads up the Quartzsite off-road group, and Bruce and I helped him. This is just a photo, or tells who all the photos were provided by and videos. The goal of the Arizona or Peace Trail Inc. was to establish a recreational trail system similar to the Paiute Trail. Actually, BLM and Arizona Game and Fish Department proposed an off-highway trail between Bullhead City and Yuma. That's when we got involved, the clubs got involved. The Arizona Peace Trail consists of 16 OHV clubs between Kingman, Bullhead, and the Yuma area. And they all got together, formed a group to make this happen. The objective was to define a maintainable loop trail rather than just a one-way down and back between Yuma and Bullhead. And our main objective is to promote winter recreation in western Arizona. The demographics have changed to the point that there's fewer people staying long-term in western Arizona during the winter, fewer snowbirds, but we have more short-term visitors. And that's what we're trying to grow is something for the short-term visitors to do while they're here. And most of them do come to ride off-road or to rock hound or do various and sundry things in the desert area. Our plan was to utilize only existing roads and trails. So far, we have not had to build anything. We don't plan to build anything. And from my experience with the government, building is very difficult. Some of the clubs have had some good luck on single tracks, but dual tracks are difficult. Define a route that's manageable, that's agreeable to all of the land managers. We're still working with state lands. In areas where we've had issues, we've had to change the route. We still may have to change the routes in various places. We've developed the plan was to develop a detailed master plan that would support the trail and the businesses along the trail, and that has been completed. We've coordinated with all the different government agencies. That's been a monumental task. It consumes a huge amount of time, but we've developed some really good relationships with all the counties, the state, various state agencies, and the BLM. We've started signing a little bit of the trail where we have travel management completed by BLM, and some of the county roads. Mojave County actually went out and signed their county roads early on. La Paz County got a grant to sign some of their trails, or not trails, county roads. The Quartzsite Sunriders actually signed a lot of the trail through the La Posa Travel Management Area, but we've still got a lot left to do to sign the remainder of it. Everybody wants maps. We did a survey during the master plan process, and maps were the #1 thing people want. A detailed map at this time, without it being signed, would be larger than a 4-seater would haul for you to be able to find all the turns. So we will not have a paper map that's navigable. In order to navigate it, you almost have to have a GPS track. A map is a good guide. Matter of fact, we've developed an atlas, and actually there's an app on Avenza that you can use and follow the trail. A private company has developed an atlas, and it's listed on our website, ArizonaPeaceTrail.org, where you can go and purchase that. We're currently at status, we're doing the final governmental approvals, which includes state trust and BLM, and we're doing our final environmental analysis, or assessment, not analysis, environmental assessment by BLM. That hopefully will be completed this calendar year. All the right-of-way will be probably 2 to 3 years before that's completed. This was our first Peace Trail sign that we installed. This was in La Paz County, and it was installed on January the 6th of 2016. We had quite a group show up for that dedication. Just a view of a couple of people putting signs in along county roads. This is a picture of the atlas. I'll tell you a little bit about the atlas. This just shows the basic table of contents that's in the atlas. You can tell it has an introductory and history of the Peace Trail, has a section about Arizona, has trail resources, which includes a rating system, difficulty rating, and has a section on using the atlas, and then it goes segment by segment. I think there's 34 segments that it addresses, and then resources and credits. In the trail ratings, they have a write-up, a definition of each rating, and they go from easy, 1, 2, and 3, moderate, 1, 2, and 3, and difficult, 1, 2, and 3. At the current time, we don't have any section rated difficult. And of course, your ratings are always highly subjective. Expert riders will consider a section easy that a novice rider couldn't even begin to get through. And the difficulty changes regularly with the weather. There's a section for a sample itinerary. This current itinerary is based on a 5-day ride. The next edition of the Atlas will have a revised itinerary in it. It'll be a 6-day ride, but it gives you places where they stayed, where they got food, where they got fuel, how much fuel they used, a lot of different details in here that give you a good idea of what you can expect. There's a segment breakdown, list the name of each segment, the number of the segment, the number of miles in that segment, and the difficulty rating. Each segment, like I said, has its own page with a description. It gives you the points of interest, any points of difficulty, and a little bit of a narrative about the segment. There's a list of points of interest by each segment, and it gives a lot of details as far as what there is to see, where the restaurants are, where the hotels are, that sort of detail, and gasoline. And now we're down, I'm going to turn it over to Bruce now to talk about his six-day ride. He broke it into 6 days, and at the end of each day, we'll pause and take questions. So,
Good morning, everybody. Like I said, I'm Bruce Fuller. The ride I took, a lot of these photos are not from me, so a lot of them are not mine, but I know where most of them are, so we'll go from there. First day I start in Wickiup, basically because almost anywhere if you're coming from the area, you can get into Wickiup in a short amount of time, 2 or 3 hours, like if you're in Quartzsite or wherever. Biggest reason is I don't camp anymore. I stay in the motels, and Wickiup has 3 rooms. So if you've got a good sized group, it isn't going to work. So we started in Wickiup. I took my motorhome over and left it there for a week at an RV park. That way it was secure and I didn't have to worry about it. And it's the first day is 114 miles. You can do it in a little shorter than that if you stay on the roads, but I take a side trip on a trail. Okay, this is the Wickiup trading post. That's where the 3 motel rooms are. Gas, food, place to eat, have breakfast, whatever you want to do. Almost whatever you want to do.
Did they also allow people to park there?
Yes, one of the guys brought his pickup over and trailer, and they allowed him to leave his pickup and trailer in their parking lot off to the back, right along Highway 93, and he didn't have any issues, so they allowed him to park there for free, to leave his trailer and pick up there. In fact, there's 2 of them that did. This is the cemetery in Wickiup. It's not on the trail, but it's a short distance off. This is our group leaving in the morning, getting ready to leave in the morning. As you can see, I'm the only pioneer. I'm the one taking the picture, of course, and I'm on the far right, the only quad that was on the trip. Everybody else had side-by-sides and an ace. Breakfast that morning at Trading Post. This is on Chicken Springs Road, road out of Wickiup, crossing can't remember the name of the ranch there, but they have a sign-in sheet and sign-out sheet on the other end. If you're going off-roading or hunting, I believe, but you're not required to do it just for crossing on the road. This is just part of the trail up through there. Some of the washes headed in towards Alamo Lake. When we did it, it was the end of October, 1st of November, so it was pretty warm. So we were always looking for shade. This is another side trip, short distance off of the trail, Alamo McGuffey Cabin. And then the next picture is the mine, at the McGuffey Mine. Just some of the scenery.
This is one of the areas where you go through a Joshua tree forest. There's very few Joshua tree forests in this area.
Some of the road coming down in towards Alamo Lake. Part of the trail after you've come into Alamo Lake, heading around towards what we call the bus, which right now, but unfortunately, the lake's so high and water running in, you can't get across there. So it's a shot around.
And there is a go around, and our website has a GPX track that's available for you to download, and those go arounds are included in that GPS track.
Just some more of Alamo Lake, and that GPX track, you can find it without any problems. That was a couple of our hosts that met us, and this is part of the
Yeah.
right there. That's a couple of our hosts that met us along the way to greet us. This is kind of down towards Brown's Crossing. This is another group. It's not my group, but this is what Brown's Crossing looks like. Artillery Mountain over there just before you get to Alamo Lake. Just some of the trail and the scenery. Once again, the saguaros. Gorgeous country. This is Maggie Wash. This is another side trip off the trail. It's only a couple miles off the trail. This is one of the side canyons you can walk up, but there's about a 5-mile stretch that you can drive through.
We have a video here. Hopefully it works.
Hopefully the video works. We have a video I took. We're kind of wampus here.
I'm not sure how we got it turned sideways,
I don't know
but
how we got it
did.
turned sideways, but I was on the four-wheeler, and this I was taking this with one hand and riding with the other, so it's a little,
Excuses.
yeah. It's
Well-
hard to do on the side, too.
Actually, it's correct on the screen,
Is it? Oh,
Yes.
good. On our computer, it's sideways.
but you can see the canyon's narrow. It's wide enough for a Jeep, but it is narrow. It has a lot of twists and turns and high walls.
It's a beautiful canyon.
And that one little narrow walking section is about halfway through this canyon. It's a couple of miles up to it. It's a side canyon.
Was that on a weekend?
No, I don't think so. This was, well, when I took this video, it might have been on a Saturday, yeah. Because this is not when I was doing the Peace Trail, this is when our club went over there for a club ride.
We went through there on Saturday,
Yeah, we went through there last Saturday, too.
so I think he does a good job holding a telephone with one hand and driving an ATV with one hand to get through here. We've had enough rain this year that a lot of these washes are not extremely rough. The years that we don't have any rain, they get really washboard.
Washboardy.
Now, is that wash just one way?
Oh, no, it's two ways. You can always find places to meet. It'd just be maybe 100 feet or a couple of 100 feet where you can't meet somebody. And then they have wide spots.
It's an offshoot. It is on if you have the app or the Avenza map off the website. It does have it tracked. You can follow that easy.
Yes, our GPS tracks.
This is the north end of Alamo
And
Lake, and right now this is what's too deep to get across.
No, I went 2 weeks ago.
Did you? Well, lake came up 18 feet last week.
And it's probably, the river is, last week was probably 3 to 4 feet deep from flow, from the snow
Yeah.
melt. This is it's where the Big Sandy and Pomerita, or not Pomerita,
San Maria.
San Maria
Come
River
together.
come together to form the Bill Williams.
This is Trace Amigo Falls, which is another side trip. It's about 20 miles or so if you know where Wayside is over there, which is on the other side of Alamo Lake. Not too many waterfalls in this area.
That's in the book.
Yeah. This is dugout cabins on Cottonwood Pass on the way into Siloam. This top of Cottonwood Pass looking down towards Siloam.
By the way, those dugout cabins are on private property, so
Yeah.
don't abuse them.
You got to know where they are anyway. Some more Cottonwood Pass. And this is another side, the prison quarry. This is another side trip of, oh, not that far off, but The club in Siloam last year got together with BLM and Game and Fish, I believe, and everybody, and took the kids out, and they took a lot of this graffiti off the rocks and stuff. This is Scheffler's Motel in Siloam, one of the places you can stay. There's several. There's one up at Stanford Inn. Yeah,
Stanford Inn. And there's another little hotel that has 3 or 4 rooms there in Siloam.
And this is my favorite picture because this is what you need to do if you have a Polaris.
I took that off.
I think this is part of the Ridge Runners for the here in Kingman when they did it, part of it. Okay, do we have any questions on day one?
How many hours was it?
Well, for me, I don't go all that fast. I usually run 25 or so, or maybe 35 on the good roads. And it was probably 6-7 hours riding. It's full day for me.
So you went from Wickiup to Siloam.
Yes.
And that's one of the shorter days.
Yeah.
That's probably the shortest time-wise day that we have.
Well, yeah. Not the shortest mileage, but the shortest time-wise, probably. Siloam to Welton. I usually stay in Welton instead of Kingman or Yuma. But the 139 miles. And this one you probably want to take gas because there's no extra gas between Siloam and King. Well, you can go to Dateland, but
Dateland's about 35, 40 miles before you get to Welton. So,
and it's about a 8 to 10 mile side trip in for gas. So, this is the Golden Eagle Mine after you come over the pass from Siloam.
this is an interesting area to just stop and poke around a little bit. There's several mines in the area. Was a town there at one time.
Okay, now we're on Hovatter Road, going out, headed south towards the Kofa. There we go. You don't go through the Kofa, you bypass the Kofa. And this is what it can look like a day after a rainstorm out there. It's pretty. One of the guys that took this picture said he lost his shoe there, so.
And his shoe's still there.
His shoe's still there somewhere, he said. This is the Royal Arch. This is another, well, I guess it's part of the trail now. They've taken off of Hovatter Road and went in a side trail for a little ways. It's the Royal Arch.
And on that part of the trail, there was an old wire gate there that a lot of people had problems with. And last week, Game and Fish went out and put a swing gate up in place of the wire gate.
What the trail looks like in a lot of places, it's not as smooth as it looks like going out across there. Just some more of the trail. Eric, well, this is a tire issue. That's the one issue we had. We had one gentleman that rode with us, and I thought he was trying to get the last inch out of his tires. He had 7 flats on the week. But we managed to get him going. And this is the out of Welton.
At the Horn.
Yeah, Fort Horn Monument. '91st, 81st Infantry Division. Agricultural fields, although once you get close to Welton or Yuma, any of them, it's a lot of fields out there. Trail kind of bypasses these fields now, you can still see them.
And you have to really be aware if you're down in that area, in any season you'll be there'll be farm workers out on the roads if you're on the road, so be real careful with them. Slow down for them. Give them right away.
Any questions on day 2?
How long did that take?
That was all day. Like I say, we took a side trip that made us probably an extra hour and a half, so We got in it, we left at 8:30, I think, and got in at about 4:30 in the afternoon. It's pretty much all day ride on all the days.
As long as you don't have any problems, it's
Yeah.
usually daylight hours. I have had tire problems, breakdowns, and push
Exactly.
after dark.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What's that mileage again from Salone down to Yuma?
Say that again, please? Yes, Jeeps.
The
Is there Duluth?
we got two questions out here. One was, do they allow Jeeps? Any vehicle that's allowed off-road in Arizona is allowed on the trail. If it's wider than a Jeep, if it's a pickup truck, you will get body damage. So don't take a truck and if it's not four-wheel drive, you most likely won't make it. If it's four-wheel drive, you've got it lifted, you'll be able to make it, but you will get body damage on a full-size trucks or areas that are narrow enough. In the GPS track, there are go-arounds for most of the narrow areas. We got another question here about how many miles it was from Salome to Yuma. Salome to Welton was 134 miles. It's another 30 miles to Yuma, so it would be 164 miles from Salome to Yuma, or approximately.
How high does it have to be lifted?
Most of the people, this is 3 inches, 2 or 3 inches, not a whole lot, but just enough to give you clearance. But for example, a Suburban not lifted, you'll drag the bottom out of it, a lot of places. But you'd also get all your fenders knocked off too. So, another question.
Is there any part of the trail where you would have to have a street legal vehicle?
All parts of the trail require street legal vehicles. There are no parts of the Peace Trail that do not require street legal vehicle. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there any place along that 50-inch will have a problem?
No.
Is there any place that,
At a 50-inch, the older Polaris, they had limited ground clearance, and is there any place that you figure they would have a problem?
no,
Well, you're going to drag.
the older side-by-side, or not side-by-sides, but the older ATVs had less ground clearance. You will drag in places. I drag in places with a Wildcat that has 15 inches of ground clearance. I'll drag in a lot of different places, but not enough that you can't get through.
It can be navigated with.
Yes, you can be
Yes.
navigated with almost any off-road vehicle, even your Jeeps, if you don't raise them. If you got a good belly pan, I suppose you could make it, but you'd want to raise the Jeeps a little bit, I'm thinking. But I'm not a Jeeper, so I don't know.
I know a lot of people put larger tires on, gives them a little more clearance, that sort of thing.
I know I drag all with my ATV, and it's got 11 or 12 inches worth of clearance. And I know I drag a lot.
And I've ridden older ATVs through it. Any other questions?
Okay, day 3, Welton to Quartzsite. Like I say, I go through Welton and I bypass Yuma, but Yuma's just another 25 miles, 30 miles past Welton on the Butterfield stage, and there is some nice trail going into Yuma as well. And this is one reason, again, why you need to be street legal on the whole trip. Also going through Cibola National Wildlife Refuge, you're supposed to be street legal as well. We're coming into Yuma Hills, foothills, Laguna Hills, excuse me. The ridge road down through there. If you're worried about or afraid of heights, you might want to take some of the bypasses through here. If you're not afraid of heights, it's a beautiful area, a beautiful trail, lots of fun. One of the best spots of the trail, but you can see what I mean here about heights. There again, and a lot of people are concerned about meeting people on this, but you can tell just by looking at this, you can look a long ways ahead and see anybody coming, and there are places to get around.
We've never had a problem meeting people. I've met a lot of people through here and never had a lack of space to meet them.
9 miles. It's 9 miles.
It's
9 miles of
through.
this? Yeah. And it's a beautiful 9 miles. And you could tell this wasn't filmed with a Can-Am, this was an Arctic Cat. But
And
it's
the
not
camera was
squeaking on
fixed.
this one.
You know, there were a lot of rattles and squeaks,
Yeah.
but fortunately you can't hear it. Gives you a good indication of that there's a lot of steep climbs, a lot of steep downhills, and it's fairly rough.
There's a lot of other trails out in this area as well to explore and check out. They haven't got their travel management plan done through down here yet, but they're working on it, I think, or were.
And there's one tiny segment of this, it's about 100 yards long. It does go through Yuma Proving Ground, and we do have a letter from Yuma Proving Ground approving that crossing.
But not anything off of it. I don't know if any of you ride, speaking of which, while we're on the proving grounds, they're starting to enforce law enforcement on the proving grounds down out of Quartzsite, south towards Yuma. So if you ride down there, you might want to not. They've been ticketing several people out there, so.
You're restricted in the Yuma Proving Grounds, you're restricted to the county roads or the Arizona Peace Trail. No other trails within the Yuma Proving Ground are legal to ride on.
Is it marked, you know, when you're entering?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, marked very well.
Very well. About every 100 yards, there's a sign that says stay on the road.
No excuses.
They're really concerned about unexploded ordnance because they've tested everything imaginable out in that area, and there's a lot left. They don't know where it is. They don't want you to find it.
Okay, this is coming in towards Golden Shores. Hidden Shores, excuse me, I'm thinking of Golden Shores by Hidden Shores. Coming into Fisher's Landing at Martinez Lake.
It's a
You
good-
can get fuel here, both for you and your machine, both.
There are actually a couple of good restaurants here at Martinez Lake.
What's the longest stretch between gas?
Oh, this day, probably 80 miles on this day.
And on average, is it
You could probably 100 miles, depending on, well, whether Wayside is open and has fuel. If you needed it there, they usually are. Going down into Dateland would probably, from Siloam to Dateland would probably be your longest.
For fuel stretches, the first day from Wickiup to Siloam, if Wayside's not open or if you have to go around, it could be either about 110 miles up to 140 miles, depending on how far you have to go around to get across the river.
is the fuel stops in the book that talk about?
Yes.
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 Yes,
The
they are.
atlas. The atlas is not something to navigate by, but it's a planning tool. It shows you where the trail goes. Basically, it provides a list of all of your hotels and your gas stops and that sort of thing. In well, not all hotels, but many hotels and gas stops. Yes, sir.
No.
Premium gas is available at Martinez Lake. It's not available at Wayside. It's not available in Bouse. Most places it is, but I've run regular in one that strictly says premium only. I've put 6 or 7 gallon, well, it's a 7-gallon tank. I've put 6 gallons in at a time or two because I couldn't get anything else. Never noticed a difference, but if you did it for a long period of time, you might notice a difference.
This is Red Cloud Mine just out of Martinez Lake. This is Clipset Wash.
Let me go back to the Red Cloud mine if I can.
Yeah. This is the Red Cloud mine that on the way out of Martinez Lake, and they do tours here on certain days if you had time to stop and take a tour of it. I guess it's pretty interesting from what I've been told.
I've never been there when they were giving tours, but I've had other people tell me that they do a really good tour.
They weren't yesterday. I went by there.
If the gate is open, he gives tours.
Yeah, it said tours closed when we went by. So this is Clipset Wash, one of the areas going down in towards Cibola. Some more of the trail. One of the washes stop in. This is Cibola Cabin. That's an old cabin just outside of Cibola. Getting
Almost
pretty rough.
gone. Yes, it's getting pretty rough.
The totem pole in Cibola.
In
Ehrenberg Cibola Road going in towards the Proving Ground, another area that we've been approved to go through. Putting signs in. This is one of the bypasses. This is, yeah, that's what it is. It's Cunningham Pass. I have a hard time calling it Cunningham because Mark, the guy that made this up, took the power lines out, so it's hard to tell, but this Cunningham Pass. The only problem with that go-around, you have to have an Indian tribal permit to get around, because the only way to get from Cibola to Quartzsite without going on tribal land or proving ground is through the Good, Bad, and the Ugly, or Johnson Canyon.
And
We named it the Good, Bad, and the Ugly in Quartzsite.
there's not a lot of enforcement by CRIT, but last week there were 2 people stopped. One of them had an expired ticket. His fine was only $500. The other guy did not have a permit of any kind. His fine was $700.
The permits are 25, but it's, it's tough. And they're good for a year from the day you buy it till the following year, same day. And this is one reason why they would like to buy it. This is probably one of the roughest spots on the trip for short distance. It's not too long. This is what we call the Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
So with the good, bad, and the ugly.
Online?
Huh?
Can you get the permit online?
No, you have to go into Parker. And I'm not sure whether you could get it by mail or not through the tribal there.
Actually, there was a group of our club members called CRIT a week in advance, and they actually sent somebody out to a staging area on CRIT land and met them and issued permits. So they are fairly accommodating if you can get in touch with them.
News
So
to
you
me.
can use that trail to bypass,
Yes, this trail bypasses the CRIT and the Proving Grounds.
no permits or nothing.
No permits, nothing. Yeah.
You want to do this.
Yeah, it's fun. It really is. It's a challenge. I mean, I've gone through there with my ATV pulling the trailer when we were putting signs in down through there.
Speaking of signs, are they still ongoing? Because Navajo and a couple other places they have them on the street. Repeat the question.
The question was, are the signs still ongoing? In county roads and things, they're doing signage. We haven't got the trails approved because of the travel management plans aren't finalized. That's why in Quartzsite, we've got them marked from our area clear to Cibola. They're marked. Well, I'll take that back because some of the signs have been stolen. The big pretty ones have been stolen out there. So there's a couple of junctions out there I need to get out and get some portable deals put up, but in my spare time.
I didn't realize this video was this long.
Yeah. And speaking of this video and BLM, there was a dangerous area there. There was a big rock that stuck out, probably from me out past the podium here, and you had about 4.5 feet to get around it before a wash on the right. We got with BLM in Yuma, and they sent out their dynamite guy, and they blasted off the end of the rock for us. So that made it a lot safer and a lot easier to get through. This is called the footprint. This is on your map or on your
Atlas.
atlas.
It actually,
And in the Avenza download.
and in the Atlas, it actually gives you the GPS
Yeah.
coordinates.
Gives you the coordinates.
Yes, sir. The Atlas is available on our website. There's right at the top of our website, there's a link to the company that sells the atlases.
And the website
Is arizonapeacetrail.org. .org.
And this is just outside of Quartzsite. This is Kellogg Mine on your way into Quartzsite. It's a little ways off of the trail, but you can see it from the trail. This is what they call Picture Rock. It's in Tyson Wash on your way into Quartzsite. And the grindings, oh, this is still some more of the Picture Rock. And the grinding stones are on the other side of the wash, from where the Indians ground their beans and whatnot. Halsey Mine, you can see from Quartzsite.
Some of these mines aren't directly on the trail, but a lot of them are shown.
Well, you can see them from the trail.
Right.
This is the High Jolly Cemetery downtown Quartzsite. It's kind of a novelty. Any more questions on day 3?
Where would you stay in Quartzsite?
There's 2 motels in Quartzsite. There's Super 8, and there's the Stagecoach.
Stagecoach.
Yes.
There's,
The Stagecoach, I have not,
Nicer?
excuse me?
Stagecoach any nicer than that Super 8?
I have not been in the Stagecoach, but they have just remodeled them last year, I know. Or I've been told.
there,
Was it? Yeah.
the question was about where to stay in Quartzsite. There's also a nice motel in Ehrenberg, which is, there is a link to Ehrenberg, or a spur route out to Ehrenberg, and it's not far off the trail. I think it's about 7 miles.
Quartzsite to Lake Havasu. This is probably, if you were a beginner or a fairly novice, this is probably one of the easiest days for somebody to take if they want to do one day of it and try it and see what they like. It's not as difficult an area. It's a lot of road, some trail, but it's interesting. This was 111 miles. This is coming around what they call Southern Cross Mine, the trail around Southern Cross Mine headed towards Bouse. Cattle guard coming into Bouse with a peace trail sign.
There is regular fuel in Bouse.
Yes, and there also is lodging in Bouse too.
Yes, I think they have 11 rooms at the Ocotillo Lodge.
Yeah, not been in any of them, but I know there is lodging there. Some more Monument Row in Bouse. This is where our first peace trail sign was put in. This is the road headed into Planet Ranch.
And it is a bladed road from Bouse to Planet Ranch, which is about 27 or 8 miles.
Something like that, yeah. Just some more of that going into Bouse. Underneath that Planet Ranch sign on the right there was a peace trail sign. But this is the town of Planet. The old post office is in the town of Planet, which is right on the edge of Planet Ranch. By the gates, the old post office. There used to be a town site there. That's the gate going into Planet Ranch.
Planet Ranch was closed from, I'm not sure what year, up until 2016, December of 2016. And Game and Fish finally fought the battle and got ownership of it actually through the federal government. And now they opened it.
Opened it up for us so we can get around, so we didn't have to go around Planet Ranch. This was their ribbon ceremony, cutting the ribbon to open it up.
The reason Planet Ranch was really important to us, it's the only dry crossing of the Bill Williams River. Normal river flows is underground through this section. So anywhere else, you have to cross water.
Rudy's Well out of what wash is that, John? Centennial Wash? Mojave Wash?
Mojave Wash.
Okay. It's a side, another one that's a side trip. This is the Founder's Cabin. It's a great place for lunch. It's on the way. This is just a side trip, short trip off the trail, but it's a great place to go in for lunch. You can see where it got the nickname Dollar Bill Cabin. And then this is Woody's cabin just up the trail towards Havasu. Another little short side area, which is GPSed on the map, on the Benza map. I think the food window was closed that day. Looking into Havasu from on top of the hill. Actually, I think this is after I left Havasu, but maybe not. Another reason why you need to be street legal, Havasu.
And technically, any of these county roads you're supposed to be street legal on also.
Yeah. Any questions on quartzite to Havasu, Lake Havasu? Okay. Lake Havasu to Kingman.
Back up.
Day 5, 129 miles.
And again, you can go into Bullhead City for fuel or food
Yes.
in between. Oh, went the wrong way.
Hole in the Rock gravesite, I guess. I have not been here, but I know John has. And I have not been to there either.
This is a short ride off the trail again. The location shown on our GPS track.
We're going under the railroad tracks.
Just north of I-40.
Yeah, north of I-40. Okay, the railroad, old railroad. Now they want to make special note here that they don't want you messing around in this area. Stay on the trail, don't be going off. Don't be playing with the ties. I guess they have had some issues out there.
And it is a listed historic site.
Okay, here's the Golden Shores part. Now this is a power line headed towards
Bullhead.
Bullhead. Some of what the road trail looks like. You'd think it'd be, you get out there and look, you'd think it was flat, but it's anything but. Some of the trail in and out. It gets pretty rocky in spots out through there.
Gets pretty steep also.
Now this is not on the trail.
This is what it would be like if you get off the trail.
Yeah, this is desert varnish out there, so right along the trail. This is the road going into Oatman. Another side trip. I suppose you have here in Kingman. Coming back in, headed towards Bullhead. Hardyville Cemetery in Bullhead. Some of the washes leaving peaks. I don't know the names of them.
This is headed out of Bullhead towards Kingman.
Yeah, headed out of Bullhead towards Kingman.
This is Moss Mine.
Okay, we're at the stripper pole. Batty tree.
That's your favorite place.
Somebody, I don't know who that could have been, that stuck a Peace Trail sticker on that post.
He might be here.
He's probably here today. And this is what they call the Bullhead finger. Bullhead Secret Pass. A lot of you have probably been in there. That's a gorgeous drive. First time I was in there was November, 1st of November. This is what it looks like going in there.
Is that up on the top of 68 there?
Okay. I don't know, to be honest with you, if it's top of 68 or not. It's south of 68. Thank you.
Yes, it's,
Between Bullhead and top of the hill there?
Yeah.
yes. This is going
This is
in
some more of that secret pass. And once again, I took the video with one hand and was riding with the other down through there, so.
Oh.
I
Go
swear
back
I
and see
took
if
a
I-
video.
Isn't Secret Pass in the wilderness area?
Well,
Part of,
the,
At the end of it is, I think.
I heard that people were getting tickets to go.
Oh, really? Now, there was no signage or anything that I saw.
There's no signage on the Kingman side, but Bullhead side there is signage.
Is there? Okay, well, there wasn't any signage when we went in, or I'd not have gone in, that's for sure.
You turn around where our tracks say to turn
Yeah.
around, then you're okay.
well, once again, we've had a video failure.
Which is too bad, because that's a pretty canyon.
It's a beautiful canyon. It's worth driving down into, even though you have to turn around at the beginning of the state trust land, and it's actually a wilderness area too.
Okay, now we're headed into Kingman.
That's old 66, right?
Yeah, I think that's Shinnerup Road.
Shinnerup Road,
Yeah,
headed into 66. Here you're on
Yeah.
66.
yeah, this is coming in. Lots of places to stay here in Kingman.
Yeah, no doubt.
Probably could stay at home here. Huh?
Any
Any
more
questions? Yeah, on day 5? Yes, sir.
Do you typically see a lot of Jeeps on trailers out on this trail?
Do I tentatively see a lot of Jeep traffic? Pulling trailers, not on this trail, no.
Yes, we've never seen a Jeep pulling a trailer on the trail. There's no reason it couldn't, but it just need high ground clearance.
I have pulled, like I say, a trailer on some of it down out of Quartzsite with my ATV trailer, walking trailer, but I wouldn't be afraid to pull it anywhere I go.
State trust land permits, is there something where a guy might need that for this?
If you're gonna stop, take a picture. Oh, the question was, is there any permits needed for state trust land? At this time, if you stop and take a picture or go to the bathroom or do anything like that, yeah, you need a permit. But if you just go straight through and don't stop, you don't need a permit.
The worst part is the state trust land's not signed in any form or fashion. There are some maps available showing state trust land. The state trust land's actually shown in the atlas, but to avoid it, if you don't know where it is, you probably should have a state trust pass or a permit. They're available online.
Yeah, I know my Garmin GPS has it marked in blue. Tells me when I am on state trust land.
Probably easier, like $25 or something.
I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's $20 or it may
20.
even be $12 for an individual and $20 for a family.
Right, so it's probably
Yeah.
better just to buy one and have it be done with.
Exactly.
So if you do stop,
Yep.
Like I said earlier, the Arizona Peace Trail is in the process of starting the right-of-way procurement through state trust land and private property, so we'll hold that right away.
Gentleman clear in the back?
Where can you get a permit for, that state land?
You can get it online, I know.
You can do a Google search online for state trust land, Arizona state trust land, or Arizona state lands, and it's at the Arizona State Lands Department website.
Yes, ma'am.
This day trip, is there a side trip to Chloride?
Not on this one, there isn't, but I know one of the guys just did a side trip into Chloride, but I honestly have never been in there.
And I believe, I'm not sure if Avenza shows a side trip into Chloride, but I know our Arizona Peace Trail GPX track that's on our website shows a side trip into Chloride.
Yes, ma'am.
This GPS thing, can you do that on your iPhone, or does it have to be on like a Garmin or something?
No, I don't know about an iPhone. I can do it on my
Samsung.
Android.
Android.
Samsung.
And you
Yeah,
can do it
yeah.
on your phone, yes. You'll have to have
Follow it with, on your phone, because
You'll have to have
I did a lot of it
right.
on my phone when I did it in November. I've got it on mine.
Okay,
And-
but what if you lose signal?
You don't need a
Have to
signal
have
for
it.
GPX, so, or for GPS.
It's
You do-
downloaded on your phone.
But you do need an app that works without a signal, such as GPS Viewer, Gaia. There's several others, I think, now that work without a signal. If you can look, you can view it on Google Maps, but you have to have a signal to use Google Maps.
There's a map service called Onyx Hunt, O-N-X.
That's not
Repeat the question.
I can't understand you.
There's an app called Onyx Hunt.
Onyx Hunt?
It works with the GPS signal, and it also gives you the ability to download a map that's in your phone. So if you lose lose a cell signal, it will still give you the map, and it will operate off the GPS signal.
Yes, there are several apps that even Google Maps allows you to download an area to your phone and use it in place of where you don't have a signal. So there's a lot of apps out there that do allow you to download the map for the area and use it. The app, You Need a Map, has the maps for the USA all on it. It's about 3 gigabytes in size. It's a huge download, but it has all the maps for the US, and they're quad maps.
Okay, day 6, Kingman to Wickiup. It's only 80 miles, but it's a full day's ride for me. It's not any road ride, really. We have some road, of course, getting up to Mountain Lodge and things like that, but once you leave there, it gets pretty rocky and beautiful country, though. My favorite part of it, actually.
down by the Boreana mine.
Yes, it goes down by Boreana Mine. But that last one, when I was through there in November, that was getting pretty rough and rocky. Yeah. Well, up by Mountain Lodge, of course. Valley's looking after you come out.
The scenery is just spectacular
Yeah.
through here.
Yep. The trail, it doesn't look, it's not as bad as it looks there. But, well, that's what the trail looks like, kind of. But show me your local fair. We did this picture 4 years ago.
Yes?
4 years ago. The first time I rode it, it was supposed to be 70 degrees that day in the Hualapais. Well, there was 5 machines and only one of us had rain gear, and I couldn't tell you who that was, but it wasn't
me.
John. Just some more of the Hualapais, but you folks have probably been through quite a bit being from Kingman.
According to Mike, it's closed currently.
Is it closing currently right now because of snow, I'm assuming? Yeah.
And
But there again, there is a go-around on the app, on the vendor.
this is a sign just up from Boreana Mine, headed up the trail towards Kingman. Somebody mislabeled the slide.
Yeah. Looking down across the valley, and this is the Boreana Mine fish pond up there. Boreana Mine again. Boreana Mine to wiki up. What a lot of the trail looks like, why it takes all day.
That one worked.
This one worked, good.
And you'll see there's some narrow spots,
Yeah, remember that rock.
but a Jeep will go through.
Yeah.
Well, I understand the Havasu four-wheelers did some work up here too, not too long ago.
They say they have.
This was taken last year, I believe.
Not much changed.
No, it was the same in November.
There's quite a bit of just rough trail. Some of this area is pretty steep. Some of it's washed out. And you always have to be aware you might come to a boulder that you can't get around. If it's a boulder's rolled off the side of the mountain, you may have to turn around and go back. Here's another narrow area. The Jeeps say they just put the wheels up on those rocks.
Yeah, we've done that.
And again, if you're uneasy about heights, this may bother you some.
Like there is a go-around, but to me, this is one of the prettiest spots of the whole Peace Trail.
This is over on the other side of that same mountain. See where it's washed a lot of side hill conditions.
You mentioned a go-around to this because it can be really gnarly. Does it follow the fire road?
Actually,
Road?
you can go around that way, or from Boreana Mine, you can go to Alamo Road and go to Chicken Springs Road and go around. Or if you wanted to go, if you're going to Wickiup, but if you wanted to go on to Sloan, you just hit Alamo Road and go.
You guys ever set up like a gathering of everybody to do it at one time?
If you get more than about 6 vehicles, you need about 2 to 3 days for each segment because the stops get so long. So if you had, when you say everybody, I would assume you mean 500 or 600 riders. It's what you would be talking about, everybody. Some of our club rides are getting up to almost 100 people in them. So when you get a ride that big, you can't make this many miles in a day.
When I do it for my club, I usually put out a notice when I'm going to do it, who's interested, tell them where to make their reservations and do that.
That's on the website?
Well, it's on their club website, yeah. I don't do it through the Peace Trail, I just do it for our club.
The Arizona Peace Trail has a Facebook page, and that's an ideal place. A lot of people post on it that they're planning a ride, when they're planning to do it, and you can link up with them. That's a good place to watch for rides starting up.
Yeah, I do mine on Facebook as well. It works better for our crew.
And you can ask questions of people who've done it and get
Yeah,
answers.
yeah. If you got questions, like you say on the Facebook, you can ask questions about it. And those who have done it will will respond to you and tell you answer your question.
Can you make reservations in India if
Yes,
motel?
yes you can.
What was the question? Sorry.
Oh, the question was, can you make reservations at Wickiup at the motel? And yes, you can.
Yes, and most likely you need to do that several months in advance. As they're booked a lot of the time.
There's also an RV park in Wickiup that has rooms or an RV that they rent once in a while, but they get a lot of construction people in there, and those construction people seem to rent those fifth wheels by a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time while they're working, so.
We're trying to find somebody to build another motel there or put some cabins in or do something to accommodate more people.
Hopefully when 11 starts going in, they might open up some more.
Just some more typical views through there.
Shots of the trail. Down out of Boreana Mine, down at, I think they call it Jackass Flats, down there where you're going through. Back up on top. This is Chicken Springs Road again, headed back in towards Wickiup. Here we are, round trip. And this wasn't my group. I think this was the Kingman group, actually.
I want to put this up. Hopefully you can read it. We need your input. And the more written comments we get, the better off we are. We'll share these with BLM, with Game and Fish, state parks, whoever. But it's good to get public input. What your thoughts are about it, any comments you have, any recommendations. We know everybody wants maps and restrooms. Hopefully, at some point down the road, we'll have a lot of those things available, at least electronic maps. And at some point, ultimately, we hope the Arizona Peace Trail hopes to become a friends group and some other agency take over the responsibility for the trail, ownership of the right-of-way, because we have no means, we're a nonprofit corporation, we have no means of owning real estate, so somebody else will have to own that. But again, our email address is just azpeacetrail@yahoo.com. Feel free to send us questions or comments, recommendations, whatever you have. Any further questions? Yes, sir. What months would you recommend making this trip? Typically, I would recommend anywhere between the 1st of October and the 1st of May. However, January and February and even parts of March, it can be closed due to snow in the Wallapies, but you can go around that. So weather-wise, stay in the cooler months for safety. I'd say October through May or through April.
I think November is a great month to do it. For me, that's coming from where I am, starting to cool off at home and come down here and get a little warmth again and everything. So most of us are all snowbirds that do all this or setting all this up. So.
And November is usually a little bit drier, so
Yeah.
you're not as apt to get caught by water.
One question, are they gonna do any limitations on limits for the widths of vehicles like they do in the Paiute?
The question was, are they going to do any limitations on widths? And right now, we do not have any limitations in the western part of Arizona on widths.
As far as we know, there's no plans to make any limitations.
The Peace Trail itself has no requirement to limit widths right now.
Get scratched on the white one.
Yeah, you might get scratched, Arizona pinstriping, but
If you're afraid to get a scratch on your razor, you shouldn't have a razor.
Or a Jeep,
Or any off-road.
or a pickup truck if you're taking it off
anything
road.
that's off-road, if you're worried about getting it scratched, you're in the wrong place.
People camp out.
Yes, it's really great to camp. If a guy is wanting to camp, that would be a great way to do it.
So other than like the proving grounds or whatever that was,
You can't,
Other than state grounds, state lands, BLM, you can camp just almost anywhere on BLM ground. You know, as long as you're not staying over 14 days, and I wouldn't imagine anybody would stay over 14 days on riding the Peace Trail. But yeah, it's really would be designed to camp if you had the equipment and the flexibility, I guess I say.
Yes, sir.
Last year I found a guy that ran a rescue and recovery service for off-roaders. I can't find him this year. Is there a company or fellow that does that?
There is a company in Phoenix that does that, and I don't know the name of it right off. There's also a service station in Salome that does search and rescue, and it's C&D Auto Care, I think is the name of it, but C&D service, they do recovery work.
Yeah, the question was, anybody have a service and rescue outfit for, in case you get into trouble, somebody to call or notify? Yes, sir.
There's a Facebook website, Mojave Desert Off-Road Recovery.
Javi, H-O-V, Mojave.
Hobby.
Off-Road Recovery. They start in Southern California and they work their way halfway to Arizona.
Oh, great.
If you get in a pinch and you happen to have that on the website, you can throw up your problem on the website and they'll just share it with everybody. If there happens to be somebody in that area, they'll come in. I think they're a nonprofit. They'll just come in and help. They're just people looking out for people.
Mo-
Mojave Off-Road Desert Recovery.
Mojave Off-Road Desert Recovery.
Also, it's a good idea to try to familiarize yourself with the various clubs that are spread out in the area, like in Bullhead, Kingman, Salome, Baus, Quartzsite, Yuma, and try to get a phone number for somebody there. I actually had a guy call me one night. He was stranded, stuck on a road out near Bill Williams River, and he was in a rental van. He was from Switzerland, and we went and had to winch him about 200 yards up a hill to get him out. But he happened to find my name on our club website. He said that wasn't the first time he had been stuck.
Not too right.
But any other questions? Well, thanks again for your participation. We hopefully you got enough out of this to make, yes, sir.
Do you plan on having this presentation again in the near future?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Are you going to have this presentation again sometime in the future?
Presentation again in the near future.
We hope to maybe again in Phoenix area. We don't have, the problem is getting a venue anywhere. Anywhere we can get a venue, get it set up, we'll be glad to come and make the presentation. It will be available online. They're recording it, this one today. It will be on YouTube, and we'll have a CD that we can put up possibly on our website. Again, appreciate your participation, and hopefully you got something out of it. We'll see you later.
Also, if you were interested in any of the shirts or hats, Wild Horse Motorsports here in Kingman, I guess it's a smaller shop up on the north end of town, has a lot of the hats and shirts for sale.
Yes, shirts. Thanks.